Welcome to Daily Wisdom, where every single day we seek to take a piece of God's wisdom and apply it to our everyday life. We've been using a reading plan together called The Essential Jesus. You can find information on that in the links below this description here on YouTube. But what I want to get to, and I want to get to it right away, is today's reading really got me thinking about this incident that happened in Orlando and this violence that took place and the contrast in ideology that some people have. And not only in Islam, because people in Islam, the majority of Islam, are people that are peaceful and good people. I've met a number of Muslims in my time that are wonderful people. But I've also met Christians that are wonderful people. And I've met Christians who are, quite frankly, not nice people. I think in every faith you're going to find difficult people to get along with. But what I can point to today is that Jesus is a person of peace, and his teachings offer a different type of ideology, an ideology that doesn't serve division and hate, an ideology that extends grace, peace, and love. And our reading today is going to show us that and point us to that. So let's get directly into our reading now. And we are in Isaiah chapter 42. Isaiah 42 is one of a number of psalms that point to Jesus as a person of servanthood. And that is different than many people express when they express Christianity. I see Christians that don't extend an attitude of servanthood. I've met Christians that don't extend an attitude of grace and mercy and peace. And that's the kind of people that Jesus calls us to be. So let's jump into today's reading, Isaiah chapter 42, starting with verse 1. Here is my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen one, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will bring justice to the nations. I love how this verse brings out the servant imagery, and Jesus certainly was a servant of the Most High, a servant of God, and he also portrayed a servant attitude among God's people. And that is amazing for us to think about, because Jesus was not the warrior king that the Jewish people expected out of a Messiah. He certainly changed the dynamics of their expectations when he came as a humble servant. Let's continue with verse 2. He will not shout or cry out, or raise his voice in the streets. Verse 3, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. In faithfulness he will bring forth justice. This imagery of a bruised reed might sound a little bit confusing. What that is imagery around is slavery and oppression. Slavers would often beat and whip their slaves into submission to get them to do the work that they wanted them to do. And Jesus is not going to come as a violent oppressor. He is not going to come as a warrior yelling and screaming in the streets. He is to come as a humble servant and through faithfulness bring forth justice. Not through war, not through battle, but through faithful service. This is how justice will come to our world. A completely different image of a Savior than what was expected. And this is so good and so rich for us to recognize as Christians, that we serve a God that cares so much for us, that he wants to demonstrate that care through his Son in such a way that gets us to think differently about our world and to think differently about each other and the way we interact with one another. And that's so important for us to think about, especially during troubled times like these. You know, we had that incident in Orlando recently, and this guy was torn inside by an ideology that wanted to exclude people, that wanted to snuff out people that were different than him. And Jesus came to this world not to snuff out people, not to exterminate them, not to force them into submission and beat them into his way of thinking. They were to serve God out of their own free will. They are hopefully going to change their ways. The people that hear the teachings of Jesus will hopefully change their ways because they are so moved by how different he is that they can't help but to serve him. And that is completely different than the ideology of this gentleman that ran into that nightclub and killed so many people. He serves an ideology that wants to create division in humanity and actually kill people who are different than he is. And no matter how you feel about someone else's lifestyle, it does not give you permission, it does not give me permission to force my ways upon them simply because I believe differently. What we should do is, as Jesus did, is express love and care and extend grace, even to people that we feel don't deserve it. Even to the people in your life who might be giving you a difficult time right now, who may believe differently than you do, who may act differently than you think they should, who may do things that you don't think is right, we should still extend those people the same love and grace that Jesus extended to everyone, even to the point of death. And that is what he did for us when he died on the cross. And that is so good for us to remember. Let's read a few more verses. He will not falter or be discouraged till he establishes justice on earth. Listen to this last sentence. In his teachings, the islands will put their hope. Friends, that is remarkable. The teachings of Jesus is exactly what gives us hope, because his teachings are peaceful and loving. And that is who we should be as Christians. A group of people that are peaceful and loving. A group of people that extends hope to everyone, even those who are different than we are. That is today's Daily Wisdom. I hope you found this video encouraging. If so, hit that thumbs up button. That'll help others to see it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please consider doing so. And hopefully you won't miss out on any of the short Bible studies that we have together each and every day. We'll see you tomorrow.